Hello and welcome, and let's through this short video try to understand what is meant by state capitalism or Beijing consensus. Now there are many ways, different ways of understanding what is meant by state capitalism. One of the simplest way is that where the state owns large businesses by itself and they coexist with the private sector. Now this is one way to interpret the meaning of the term state capitalism. It is the simplest model. It is the simplest model in the sense that where the state owns large businesses by itself, and these large businesses coexist with the private sector. Now it is the simplest model, and a classic example in this regard, or you can say the implementation of this model, would be the mixed economy model that we find in India as well. But when it comes to state capitalism with respect to China, then there is a big difference. Now, the form of market economy which is being practiced in China and which is being referred to as Beijing consensus, it has certain peculiarities associated with it. Certain characteristic features of it come into picture if one analyzes state capitalism that is being practiced, that is being pursued in China. So the form of the market economy that is being practiced in China is that here in China there is this authoritarian state which acts as the dominant economic player. And how does the authoritarian state acts as a dominant economic player? By owning and controlling large businesses and uses market forces primarily for political gains. Now it is this mix of economics and politics that is called as, or that is being referred to as Beijing consensus. And this is very much different from, this is a rival, you can say, this is considered as a rival to what is called as Washington consensus. Please try to recall that in one of the previous videos I had talked about the difference between liberal and neoliberalism, and while discussing neoliberalism I had mentioned this term Washington consensus. Having a brief recap, Washington consensus was in line with the neoliberal principles where individualism, innovation and such ideas were respected. But what we see in Beijing consensus, that it is the authoritarian state which is the main player or the dominant economic player. And how does this economic dominance is being displayed? The state itself owns and controls large businesses and uses market forces for political gains. So as I said earlier, it is a mix of politics and economics. Now in Beijing consensus, the state sets the long-term strategic goals. It is the state who determines that what goals and objectives are to be achieved on a long-term basis. It determines the priorities and then pursues or then tries to achieve those goals and objectives by utilizing the technique of multi-year planning. Now we had also had that 5-year plan concept, but then again that was related to 5 years only. It was having a time frame of 5 years, but with respect to China things are different. Now this is as commentators, observers and academics have said, that state capitalism of the nature of Beijing consensus, it is a mix of state, the authoritarian state, the market forces, the market, and the notion or the concept of redistribution. So in a nutshell, this is what is called as state capitalism or Beijing consensus. I'll see you in the next session. Thank you very much.